Hello everyone, my name is Jennifer Stay, this is Coloring Bliss, and today we have another head-to-head battle for you. Exciting one today. We have Prismacolor versus the Derwent CHROMAFLOW. Now we're going to spend a little time talking about the Derwent CHROMAFLOW because this is the first time I've ever used these. So we'll talk about how they compare, especially to the Prismacolor Premier pencils. This is going to be a fun battle. Predict below. Who do you think is going to win? Let's get started. Here are our two competitors. Before we get into the battle, which has a free download that you can come and get, I want to talk a little bit about Derwent CHROMAFLOW. These have been out for a little while, and I just, I wasn't too impressed by all of the things I was reading and the information about the pencils, especially because it was a smaller set. I think 24 was the first amount that they came out with, but recently they have expanded to, I believe it's 72. Yep, 72 colors. So I did what I always do, and that is purchase a smaller set, see if I like it. If I fall in love with them, I can always buy the full set. So let's take a peek at these Derwent CHROMAFLOW and talk about who they are for and if you should purchase them or not. This is the tin. It's a typical Derwent tin. The lid is really loose on it, so eventually I'll put some tape on it to keep these pencils safe and secure inside. On the back it says that these achieve exceptional color saturation with rich pigments, rely on pencils that last longer due to less breakage, and they're supposed to be consistent quality for every project every time. Now, unlike a lot of the Derwent pencils that we have been looking at recently, these don't have any light-fast information that I could find. In fact, the Derwent website was pretty pathetic on the amount of information that they provide about this line of pencils. The best place I found for information on these pencils was on Amazon. And if you bring it up in Amazon, you can see the prices. It's going for about $124 as of today. It's the beginning of May 2022. And if we scroll down, we get into where some good information is. For instance, it's got a 3.5 millimeter core and has 72 colors. And you scroll a little bit farther, there's a little video you can watch from the manufacturer. And then this is the area here that I wanted you to see. You can click on color palette and it gives you a few words of description about it. Core strength, you can read about that. Highly pigmented, it says it's good on black. We're going to find out if that's true. Core texture, it says the smooth texture that makes great for shading and blending and colors easy. And then here it is talking about all the different color sets that you can get, 12, 24, 36, 48, and 72. And surprisingly, I am having trouble finding it, the 72 set. The only place I could find it right now is on Amazon. You can't get it on Dick Blick. You can't even get it on Derwent's website. Now, they are also not available open stock, so that's kind of a big difference, and we'll put that information, all the information we just talked about, we'll plug it into the battle test that we're going to do as we compare it to Prismacolor. Now I finally have my co-star here.
Here, have a dog.
Thank you for a dog. There. Oh yeah, she usually gets a treat when she comes up here, so that my desk and filming with us is always a pleasant experience. So that's what she's waiting for right now. So, excuse me. Should we do a trick for it? Can you shake? Good. Now shake the other paw. This paw. Shake this paw right here. Lift it. No, okay, just one paw. Okay, and we'll have her do her other trick that she can do here. Are you ready? Up and around and down. Good girl. That's my good girl. This is Rose. She is my co-star and my constant companion, a sweet little Maltese girl. Okay, back to Derwent. Let's look at these pencils. I'm going to open this up. I've already opened it once just so that I could get the color names for all the swatch charts that we're going to be filling out together. So we'll open it up. This is what it looks like. And it has 2 trays in my set, and I went through and sort of quickly rearranged them into color order, but they also have numbers, so you could organize them by number, and it was pretty close. What I did without looking at the names and numbers was pretty close to their number flow. So they're all numbered 1 through 24. Let's take a closer look at one of these pencils. This is what it looks like right here. It has a name and a number, and it says Made in Britain, Derwent CHROMAFLOW, and it's your typical Derwent pencil. It has some kind of a swooshy line. You can see how it moves as I rotate the pencil, and then it has a dip on the end so that you can tell what color you are coloring with. So let's measure this pencil and see how it compares to some of its other Derwent brothers. So this pencil has a bit of a smaller core, a 3.5 millimeter core, and the body was measuring in at 7 millimeters. This pencil right here is one of my current Derwent favorites. It's the Derwent Lightfast pencils. So this one has a bigger body. It's an 8 millimeter body, and of course it has a bigger core as well. I think it's a 4 millimeter, I want to say. Yeah, it's about a 4 millimeter core on these pencils here. Derwent has a lot of color pencils, and they range anywhere from some are water soluble to some are really unique and special, like this one. This is the graphitant line here, that are also water soluble. But you can see it's always consistent at the end. It has that kind of a swirl and then a dip of the color that the pencil is. And then here's a few more that I own currently. This is the Derwent drawing pencils here. This is the Derwent Pro Color pencils. And we have the Derwent Color Soft pencils. And then I have a Derwent watercolor pencil. So Derwent has a lot of products to sort through. And they have one link. Let me grab it, which I printed out. They have this link where you can go in and look at all the different kinds of pencils, and unfortunately they haven't added in the the CHROMAFLOW pencils into this really informative piece of literature yet. I'm going to put a link to this so that if you want to go and look at the other lines of pencils, you can. But for instance, it tells you the core size, how many colors, and it'll also tell you whether it's more of a waxy feel or more of an oily feel, what you can expect, the special things about each line. For instance, the Lightfast is extremely lightfast, up to 100 years. That's the kind of information you'll find here. It's really a great place to look, and I wish they had already updated this to have the CHROMAFLOW so that we could see how they envision us using this. My impression is that this is more of a hobbyist to beginner type line. The reason I'm feeling that way is because there's no Lightfast information available on these pencils, and they have a smaller core. So I get the impression that they're trying to hit a less expensive market with this range of pencils right here. But we'll talk about price and all that when we get to the battle. So the next thing I want to see is how these pencils look when they are swatched out. And I have 3 different swatch books all ready for us to go here. I've got my white swatch book, I have my tan swatch book, and I have my black swatch book. We have a lot of really great swatch books, different configurations and different papers that you can order here at Coloring Bliss so that you can see how your tools are going to perform in different situations. And I can see myself using using them in all three of these situations, so I want to see how the pencils perform on all of these different surfaces. This one here is a white color pencil paper, great toothy texture. These are also very nice and toothy, not quite as much, but they are high quality, beautiful cardstock that I'm going to see how they look on. So let's start out with the most important, the white paper, and see how these look. I'm also going to be sharpening them as we go along. We'll see how I feel about the pencils after I have swatched them all 3 times. Enjoy the footage. So I finished swatching all of the pencils 3 different times, so they definitely need some sharpening. And we've got one tip that broke during sharpening. I don't know whether it's my little Carl here. He hasn't been acting exactly right, but now that tip is jammed inside the Carl somewhere, so that's frustrating. Maybe I'll try a different sharpening method for the rest of them and see what happens. Yeah, because this pencil sharpener is loud and scary. Huh. So you go find Daddy and then come back when I'm done. Another fail, the battery is dead on this one. Another reason a battery operated pencil sharpener isn't that great. Not only is it loud, but sometimes the battery fails. So I have to let this charge, so I guess we'll go to a handheld small little comb. Finally got them all sharpened, and I'm running into some issues here. For instance, this natural brown color, number 21. This is a good example of the wood not being that great of a quality. You can see how it sort of chewed up the wood right there along the edge as it was sharpening. That's not a fault of the sharpener. That's a sign that the wood is a little odd. And then I noticed that this one here, it's just a weird texture on this pencil here, that they didn't get it sanded well enough or it painted weird. I don't know what's going on, but it's really rough, and I'll bet it'll chip off quite easily. So that's my experience with sharpening these CHROMAFLOW so far, and I will do more sharpening as we go through the battle tests and we can see how it performs in other situations. But so far, sharpening is problematic with these pencils. Here are all 3 versions of our swatching. The white, right here, very pretty. Very few crumbs, and it colored down very creamy and quickly, so I was happy about that. Here it is on tan, and look how great they look on black. I want to show you like an example of another brand. Here's Prismacolor that we're going to be doing the head-to-head. Prismacolor, and these, I think these are a little more vibrant. And then the other line that I love so much with the Derwent is the Light Fast. You can see like the yellow up here and the yellow there. So the formula is paying off really well on black. So that's exciting. Now that we've got our initial first impression and unboxing and swatching done of the CHROMAFLOW pencils, we're ready for the head-to-head. So for this, we have a 2-page download that is free for everyone. If you've got some color pencils that you would like to test on your own and see how they perform and which brand is better, all that good stuff, then I highly recommend you come and get this 2-page download. Printed the first page just on standard copy paper because it doesn't really matter. And this page here where we're going to actually do the swatching and blending and testing, I printed out on a really nice color pencil paper to give both lines of pencils the best advantage possible. Now also, before I started filming, I filled this out the top here a little bit with some information so that when it comes time to judge these two pencils, we'll have all the information we need. So we're going to dive right in and start doing the testing with number 1. I need to pick 10 colors from each line. I'm going to try to get them close-ish, but I need 10 pencils so that we have a good swatch comparison and colors to perform all of our tests. My full set of Prismacolors are kept in these 2 leather global art cases. I reorganize them and organize them from time to time. So that's why you're not seeing the big Prismacolor case. And I'll be using 10 colors from the complete set, and I've got my swatch chart here to help me pick 10 that are as close as possible to the Derwent CHROMAFLOW colors. I think I did pretty good finding 10 colors that somewhat match the 10 of the Derwent CHROMAFLOW. This number 9 color is a really unique, interesting color. That would be a fun one to work with over here. Couldn't find one exactly like it over in the Prismacolor. Same with the green. I ended up going a little more yellowy on that green, but the other colors I feel like I got pretty close. Now I wanted to show you I've been sharpening with the exact same sharpener. I didn't clean the sharpener or change the blades, and you can see on the Prismacolor curls you get full curls. For the most part, you get these beautiful big full curls, and I also noticed we're getting a sharper point with sharpening. So same sharpener, and look at how much sharper the point is over here on the Prismacolor versus the CHROMAFLOW. Now this will probably break. That tiny tip there usually snaps off when you start working with it, but I did think it was interesting that the comb works better on this one, both because of the wood and bringing the core to a point. Okay, let's go on to test number 2. For test number 2, we're going to fill that rectangle with some black alcohol marker. I'll be using a Copic marker today, and that will give us a nice dark surface so that we can see the white on top of it. In step number 3, we want to see how the black pencil that was supplied looks. So we're going to use some good heavy burnishing pressure and fill up that rectangle. On step number 4, we want to test to see how visible on black each line of pencils is. So I'm going to fill these rectangles with the same black alcohol marker as before, and then choose some colors to color on top for this test. Test number 5 is all about layering, and for this I'm going to be using very light pressure and fill the rectangle layer after layer, keeping track of how many layers I use. Now the idea is to get this rectangle full of color with as little white as possible showing, but only using very light pressure. So we're not only just testing the number of layers I can get, but how successfully those light layers can cover an area. Number 6, I want to see how the crumbs are in each line of pencils. So I have 3 rectangles, one for light pressure, one for medium pressure, and one for heavy pressure. Typically we get more crumbs with heavy pressure, but let's see what happens. All right, we're making good progress on this test. I wanted to interrupt the time lapse real quick so that we could look at crumbs together before I brush them off. So let's look up here at the blacks. Both produced about the same amount of crumbs. I thought it was interesting that on this test right here, the yellows were the extra crummy on both lines. And maybe the red and the green here, and the red, yes, but the green wasn't crummy here. And then down here on the purples, this one, the Prismacolor, was definitely more crummy than the Derwent CHROMAFLOW. So it's pretty equal with Crumbs, but maybe a little bit crummier with the Prismacolors. So let's brush this off, and then we'll do a test number 7. Get all these crumbs off. Woo, that was a lot of crumbs. All right, on to test number 7. For test number 7, I want to see if any of the pigment transfers when I use a paper towel to rub across the heavy pressure square. Let's see how much color we get. Number 8 is all about water solubility. So both of these lines of pencils are not supposed to be activatable with water. So what we're going to do is color some color down in the left part of this rectangle, and then with a wet brush, try to move some of that pigment across to the right side of the triangle. Let's see how much color moves. Test number 9 is my favorite. It's the blending test. I'm going to use 3 colors, yellow, orange, and red, and try to create a beautiful seamless blend using Jennifer's rule of blending thirds. Not only are we going to see how well these blend, how easily these blend, but how well the layering process works, all in step number 9. Okay, one thing I wanted to show you before we tally up the results of our test is this pencil right. Yeah, it was about to break. I could feel it. So this is the Flame 04 that broke on me. The reason I'm bringing this up is because if you read the literature about these pencils, they make a big deal about them not being breakable. Let's see. Rely on pencils that last longer due to less breakage when sharpening and in use. And so far, that's not been my experience. We've had 2 that have broken, one inside the Carl, so maybe that was Carl fault, maybe not. And then this one here broke, and it was sharpened with the Coom, and it was broken quite way down. So hopefully there's not more breaks along the way. I won't know until I sharpen it more. I'm going to sharpen it right now and show you again the difference between the shavings we were getting from the Prismacolor, which are still here in the dish, and the shavings we get from this pencil here, the CHROMAFLOW. Well, this one's doing better now. We've got a nice, oh good. That makes me feel a little better about sharpening these pencils because they were just shredding before, and this one's doing much better. So, but boy, am I going to have to sharpen a lot to get back to a point here. Let's see if we can get a point, because that was the other thing I noticed, was I was unable to get a point. So the way I'm sharpening here with this pencil is, oh, it's broken again. Darn it. Okay. Well, anyway, I'm not going to sit here and keep sharpening. Yeah, that's going to take too long. So that's disappointing. All right, but let's take it to the score sheet now, and let's do some tallying of the scores. Now, usually I have Steve come and help me with this part to be a second judge, but he's not here. I'm all alone. Rose isn't even here, so you'll have to let me know in the comments if you would have scored it this way or would you have scored it differently. So let's start up here. This top section right here is called Availability and General Info. Is more about the specs of the pencils and the availability and cost and all that stuff. When we get down here, this is the actual test that we just performed. So let's start right here. I'm going to give an X to the winner. Sometimes I can give an X to both. It's up to me what I want to do here. Availability in your area. For me, Prismacolor pencils are available at my local Walmart, at my craft stores, Amazon, Dick Blick, almost anywhere I look, I can get a Prismacolor pencil. Now, the Derwent CHROMAFLOW, the only way I can currently get this is via Amazon because it's temporarily out of stock on Derwent's website and not even available on Dick Blick. So for availability in my area, I'm going to put an X for the win on the Prismacolor side. Now, like I said, this could be very different from you. If you live in Great Britain, then these are going to be way easier for you to get. So you would put an X over here. Best price value in my area, and as of May 2nd, 2022, that's when I did all this research. So this is in USA, May 2nd, 2022. I can get the full set of Prismacolor for $120. That's only 80 cents per pencil. Awesome value. Now over here we've got a full set. That's only 72 pencils, remember though, for $124. So $4 more than this one over here. That puts it at $1.72 per pencil, more than double the per pencil cost of the Prismacolors. So for me, best value in my area goes to Prismacolor. Now, best quality packaging. Now, I haven't seen any packaging for the CHROMAFLOW other than this tin right here. So we're going to compare it to a Prismacolor tin. And you can see with Prismacolor, they have the same types of trays, just plastic trays, but the lids snap on. Did you hear that? That's a secure lid. Now the Derwent has the Lamo plastic trays. I haven't enjoyed the way these pencils fit. In fact, they seem like they're just a little too wide for the trays. I'm not sure what's going on there because that's a nice thin pencil. And then when you put the lid on, no click, and it's really easy for these lids to come off. So they may look identical, but they are not identical in performance. So I'm going to give the win to Prismacolor because the lid will stay on. Open stock availability. What that means is that when I get a pencil that is itty bitty short like this one and this one and this one, I can replace these one pencil at a time from many locations. Dick Blick is probably where I would order them, and they are available open stock. Now, these guys over here, the CHROMAFLOW, I did my best and researched what I could, and I don't see them available open stock anywhere. So maybe that will change in the future, but for now, the only one available open stock is Prismacolor. They're $1.36 per pencil right now on Dick Blick. No availability over here for the CHROMAFLOWs. Pencil appearance and info. Let me grab the gray here, and we'll get the gray out of this one. And we'll talk about appearance. So the Prismacolor pencil is nothing really special. It has an open end on one side and silver print with the name. We've got a color name, and then we've got both a number and a color name on here. No light fast information available on this pencil, but that's a standard Prismacolor pencil. Right here is the Derwent metallic writing again, this time in CHROMAFLOW, in like a brassy color. It's got that cool swoop in sort of a metallic brown. It's really pretty. And then the dip at the end indicates the color that the pencil is. We've got a name and a number for the color, and no light fast information here either. So as far as information on the pencil, they're equal. And as far as the look of the pencil, I like the Derwent CHROMAFLOW a little better than that one. I think the letters are a little easier to read, other than the number. The number here is nice and big. So yeah, I'm going to give the win to CHROMAFLOW. Okay, core size. This is an easy one here. We'll look at the grays again, but the Prismacolor is coming in at a 3.8 or larger core, and the CHROMAFLOW is coming in with a 3.5 or larger core there. So the Prismacolor pencil, which is right here on my left, I don't know if you can see the core size difference, but this is the bigger core. As far as body goes, I did want to measure the size of the body of the Prismacolor because the CHROMAFLOW kept feeling a lot smaller to me, but I don't know if it is. See, that's 7.24 at the end, 7.27 at this end, 7.3, and this one is 7.1. 7.2, 7.1. So it is a little bit smaller, but not drastically. I shouldn't have felt a difference. The other thing that was odd was I was coloring with number 11. Let's bring him up. That's this one right here. And I set the pencil down on my table and it rolled in a weird way. See that? So this pencil is bowed. It's not straight. If you pick up a Prismacolor and roll it, it just rolls nice and smooth, where this one is rolling all wonky. So I thought that was interesting. I felt the difference before and didn't think much of it, and then I put it down and it didn't roll correctly. Okay, so as far as core size, we got a little distracted there, but as far as core size, Prismacolor wins for the larger core. Now, colors available. This is new that they have 72 available in the CHROMAFLOW, so that's really cool. I wish I could give this the X because I'm glad that for the CHROMAFLOW lovers out there, they have a bigger color selection now. But you can't beat 150 when all you have is 72, so I'm going to give the win to Prismacolor over here. Light fast statistics, like I said earlier when we were doing our unboxing and looking at the CHROMAFLOWs, so far, what I could see with my research, there is no light fast statistics on the Derwent CHROMAFLOW. But there is on Prismacolor. It's on their website. Prismacolor pencils don't have super great light fast qualities, but they do. Some of the colors are very light fast, but most of them are average to not very light fast. So just because there is some information, I'm going to give the X over here to Prismacolor. Now, this section up here, as you can see so far, Prismacolor is leading this battle, but this could change depending on you, the time of year, what's important to you. So let's kind of ignore this top half, and now let's look on the actual tests, how they perform. Here is our battle page right here, so we'll set it like this and look at it together. Okay, the first one is, which color swatches do you prefer? And this is usually where I really like to have Steve's help, but we're on our own here. So if you look at the left, this is all the 10 Prismacolor colors, and on the right is the 10 CHROMAFLOW colors. And they both colored down really beautiful, really vivid. So I'm going to give them each an X, because I think they are both a beautiful looking pencil, nice vivid colors. So we'll give them both an X. Now, which white is most opaque on black? So we have the Prismacolor white right here and the CHROMAFLOW white right here. As far as most opaque, honestly, I think they're kind of interchangeable. I would say that they're about the same. What would you say? So I'm going to give them both an X for being very opaque on black. All right, so far we're tied on the bottom section. Which black has the truest black? For that, I'm going to grab my color wheel. We have a grayscale here. Takes us all the way to from white all the way around to black. And so we can take this and lay it right like that up next to that black pencil, and we can see if we think it's a value 1 or a value 2. And another trick is to squint when you do this, and you want the colors to kind of mash together when you look at it squinted. So the Prismacolor black is definitely a value 1, and I'm guessing CHROMAFLOW is 2 because it's a nice beautiful black. Yep, it's definitely a value 1. So they both get an X for their black. So again, if we ignore the top, we're in a tie. Which colors are most visible on black? Okay, so here I did the same 5 pencils on both sides, taken from above, on a black background. And the yellows, I would say this yellow is a little more opaque. In the reds, I would say that this one is a little more opaque. The blues look equally opaque. Over here, I think the CHROMAFLOW is a little bit more opaque for that green. and the grays look similar. That's pretty cool. So I would give them both an X. I think they're both about the same. Some a little bit more, some a little bit more over here. So let's go ahead and give them both an X. Okay, highest number of layers. Now remember, this test, number 5, is not just about the number of layers, but the way they feel and perform as you lay those layers down. So I started with a very sharp pencil and kept myself from resharpening because I wanted to see how many layers and how well they lay down without resharpening. There's also a point in this test where I always want to lean in and do heavier pressure, but I keep myself from doing that. Over here we got 6 layers, and over here I got 5, but I made a note here that says there was no difference in that 5th layer, so we would want to take it back to 4 layers. Actually made a difference laying down. Now, I like a pencil that layers really well. You can get lots of layers down so that you can really build some dynamic blends. But Prismacolor is not necessarily known for its layering. It's more known for its blendability. So if we take this up and you want to look here on the left and the right, things you want to look for is the vibrancy in the color. Did we get rid of all of the white on the paper? How do those layers look? Now, I would say that this is really hard, you guys, because I felt like at the 6th layer I was able to make a difference here. And over here, after the 4th layer, I was feeling that weird skating sensation where you don't feel like it's making much of a difference anymore, and the only way to make a difference would be to lean in or resharpen or use a solvent. So I'm going to give the win to Prismacolor because we've got more layers down, the color looks more vibrant and rich, and I enjoyed the experience of the layering over here more than over here. This one surprised me, you guys, because like I said, Prismacolor is not known for its layerability, more about their blendability. But the point goes to Prismacolor. Okay, we finally have someone in the lead. Fewest crumbs created. Now, I stopped earlier and we discussed crumbs, and I'm going to say that they both are about equally crummy. Some pencils on one side more crummy, some on this side more crummy, and vice versa with the least crummy as well. So I'm going to say that they perform crumb-wise about the same. So they both get an X. Pigment rubs off onto hand. So for this one, it was this really heavy pressure square. I brushed off all the crumbs so that wouldn't affect the results. And the reason this is important is because if you're working with a coloring page, you don't want the pigment to smear into areas that you didn't plan on it smearing. Prismacolor is typically pretty smeary, but I was surprised how CHROMAFLOW was more smeary. So here we have over here the P for Prismacolor and the D for the Derwent CHROMAFLOW, and we definitely got more pigment off. Not a huge amount more, but it is a substantial amount more. And the other difference is as I was dragging it, this had a strange sticky feeling, and we got a smear coming out of the rectangle. So definitely pigment transfer is worse on the Derwent CHROMAFLOW side, so Prismacolor gets the point there. Again, I was surprised by that one. Binders are least water soluble, so what we want to see on this is almost no color transfer from this rectangle over to this rectangle. And I'll bring it up to screen so you can see the two results. Prismacolor definitely had more blue move, but not very much, so that's good. But Derwent did better, less blue moved from one square to the other. And I counted and did 6 swipes of the brush on both sides to keep it as fair as possible. So CHROMAFLOW gets that one right there. Okay, blending with Jennifer's rule of blending thirds. So if you've never learned Jennifer's rule of blending thirds, I highly recommend it. We have a video that you can go check out and learn it really quick. The joy of Jennifer's rule of blending thirds is it can bring together almost any pencils, no matter what quality and almost no matter what color you're using. Now, I know as I was doing this over here with the Prismacolor pencil, it was effortless. Those three colors went together so well. And if anything, I was holding the pencils back, having to use very light pressure in order to lay the colors down because they are so pigmented and strong as you get to the darker colors. Now, over here with the CHROMAFLOW, we were able to get another beautiful blend, but it was more difficult. And I think it's that same layering issue that we unveiled here back on number 5 that was coming into play over here on number 9. So I was able to achieve a blend, but it wasn't as nice of an experience and I had to work harder at it. So I'm going to give the blend test win to Prismacolor. Sharpens easily to a point. Again, I am surprised with this result because Prismacolor is famously known for sharpening issues, but as far as during this test, I came across no issues with sharpening my Prismacolors and lots of issues with sharpening the CHROMAFLOW. Broken tips, we had weird wood coming off. It was just not a good experience sharpening the CHROMAFLOW pencils. So I am surprised, but we get to give the point to Prismacolor. Now, outside of this test, I don't have issues with the majority of my Prismacolor pencils. I have a couple like Tuscan Red that always is problematic for me. Don't know why, but it is. So for me and my experience with Prismacolor, it's been really good. It is a very soft core pencil and you have to be very careful sharpening. You have to think about it and you have to be intentional the way you sharpen your pencil. So yes, they are problematic, but not as problematic as the CHROMAFLOW. So I'm going to give an X. Oh, and then holds a point without excessive sharpening. Those were equal. They needed sharpening at about the same time. The points had the same reactions on the paper, so I'm going to give them each an X for that one. Easy on the hand when coloring. I'm going to give the score to Prismacolor. This is where we can talk about the feel. Now, the CHROMAFLOW, from what I understand, is Derwent's competitor to Prismacolor. They were going for a soft core, waxy, vibrant colored pencil here so that people who have a hard time getting Prismacolor will have an option in the CHROMAFLOW line. So do they feel the same? Are they dupes for each other? No, there is a difference as you start getting into the layering. They don't perform the same. I still think Prismacolor performs better with their formula. They both feel creamy though. There's not like that slick or that sticky feeling that's very different between the two. They both have a very similar feel. But as far as ease on the hand, it was easier for me to create the blends, easier for me to do the layering, easier to do the burnishing heavy pressures, all better with the Prismacolor. Now I'm being pretty nitpicky here because they are both feeling really good and working really well. But Prismacolor still did a better job for me than the CHROMAFLOW. Let's do some tallying. All right, so if we look at the top, Prismacolor wins by a landslide. Again, I think that's because of my region and some of the things that are important to me, like open stock availability and number of colors in the line. That's why Prismacolor won by such a landslide at the top. Now in the bottom section, things were a little bit closer, but the win still goes to Prismacolor with 11 X's over here and only 7 X's over here. This is really exciting to me though, that performance-wise, they were that similar. So the totals come in at 18 to 8, so landslide win for Prismacolor. Not too shocked about that because Prismacolor has been around for a really long time. It does its job well, which is a creamy, really soft, waxy pencil. That's what Prismacolor is. Now, the CHROMAFLOW trying to be a competitor, I think it has something going for it. I think if they could come in with some light fast information, some open stock availability, open up the line to a full 120, 150 colors, bring that per pencil cost down, then it would be even closer in comparison to the Prismacolor. But as far as where it stands right now, as of May 2022, these guys can't compete with Prismacolor. I still recommend Prismacolor pencils as a really great, easy on the hand, easy to blend color pencil. It's the one that I would recommend to you over the Derwent CHROMAFLOW. Will I be buying the full set of CHROMAFLOW? I don't think so. I think I'll wait and see if they continue to expand the line and make some changes in the things that I mentioned just a moment ago. So I'm going to stick with my 24 and enjoy them and use them, but I'm still a Prismacolor girl. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please comment below. Would you have scored them the same, or would you have given different points to the other brand? I would love to know. And if there's another head-to-head battle you'd like me to perform here at Coloring Bliss, let me know. Don't forget to give this a thumbs up, subscribe for future giveaways and future videos coming out, and I hope you have a wonderful, colorful, blissful day. Bye-bye, everyone!